Hi, thanks so much for joining me. Today we are comparing these two new blushes from Chanel. These were the initial shades that I thought were the most wearable for my medium skin tone. We'll also be doing a get ready with me featuring a lot of my Chanel favorites. So let's go ahead and get started. I thought it might be nice to try two primers so you can see them side by side because I recently talked about these. Just apply the illuminating primer on this left side. And this does have some particles in it. That's where the illuminating part comes from. But also you can see it does blur a little bit as well. So it just depends on your preference. Just applying it to the center part of my face. And then over here we have the mattifying, and the illuminating has a little bit of like a peachiness to it. So it does have a little bit more than just a white reflective quality to it. So there's the difference between those two primers in case you were interested in either one of those. By the way, the little tabs that are showing up here, what I like about them, and they are just like affiliate links, so if you are curious about if this supports the channel, these little shopping tabs, they do. So thank you so much if you use them. So they're just like the affiliate links down below, but it's just a little bit, I think, more information here because if there's a discount, you'll also see it there. It'll say like 15% off, or if there's a promo that applies. So I like that up-to-date information. You can also choose to dismiss those if you don't like them, but I feel like it gives a little bit more information real time. So I'm going in with a little bit of their concealer right now, their eye concealer, and this is in 40, and I'm doing this now just to let the primer set first. I haven't used this in a while, but we're gonna use a proper foundation today because I applied it really, really quickly yesterday for the vlog. And it just reminded me how effortless makeup application can be with a really beautiful foundation. And I just took the tiniest bit there. And now let's go ahead with the same foundation I used yesterday because it is probably the most foundation-like foundation that they have. If you're used to foundations from other brands, it does a really beautiful job of covering while looking natural. It has a second skin-like quality about it at the same time. So this is very well used, you can see here, but this is BD41. This is my best shade match in Chanel, especially this particular product. So I'm gonna take this Merit brush, this one right here, their foundation brush, and we're just gonna apply just a thin layer. So the coating on Chanel foundations, if you're not aware, BD has that more golden tone. And then B has a more neutral tone, and then BR has a more pinky tone. So I just put on the thinnest layer there. It's just very beautiful. And this one, less. It has a really great wear time on it as well. Yeah, some of you let me know that in the jobs that you do that are long days and really demand that makeup stays in place, this is the one that you love. In the vlog yesterday, it's not as detailed without the lights, so I feel like hopefully this gives you a good indication of what this looks like on the skin and how it reflects that light so beautifully, just like its skin. Yeah. It's really pretty. So I'm gonna build it up just slightly in the front here. Dark spots are almost imperceptible at this point, but I'm just gonna put a little bit more to show you how nicely this builds up. And also we're gonna do a little bit of creative color correcting here. Yeah, it really is so nice to work with a foundation that applies beautifully, easily, evenly. We're gonna do this little trick with the Nars. This is an eyeshadow, but it has a peachy tone to it. So I'm going to do a quick color correction, just like this, right here on these spots. Oh, I just scratched my nose there. And then just a little bit on my chin because I can get a little bit dull here. Do a little peach. And then, I mean, you can actually, that'd probably be good. But I want to show you a little bit of CdP Concealer. Right on top, this is in Honey. Honey does have that warmth to it, so it works really well with BD41. Just take this concealer brush. Let's use this Rephr 36. It looks like that Ray Morris brush with this shape to it. Just stippling a little. Yeah, that's how I know those dark spots are getting better, because base application is so much faster and so much more effortless. I don't have to do as much to address them. So they look really good right now. I'm going to skip powder for now because I want to go in with a blush directly on this, because that is a good test of how much this blush may or may not break up foundation and concealer. So I'm looking for my Sonia G brush, which I feel like I just saw somewhere. Okay, let's go ahead and use this Chanel in Light Coral. This is the one I've been pulling for the most. I'm going to be taking this bronzer. Just in the middle here, I've got a number 4 Rephr. So I went ahead and, oh, my brows look like very full. I didn't actually go in with that much product. I don't remember. I went in with this Victoria Beckham Baby Blade and a bit of clear brow gel. Oh, that should be arriving today, actually. I ordered the brow gel by Victoria Beckham. So if you like Victoria Beckham, that video should be coming up soon. I ordered a few new products, including their concealer, but I went in with Jones Road Beauty's clear brow gel today. And I'm just going to take a bit of Chantecaille's, the Camoflauge Stylo, and this is what was shade matched, or this is what I used to shade match to select, I think it was L2 in the Victoria Beckham shade, which is like 1, 2, 3, the 4th lightest shade, which is pretty light, but the undertone looked similar. So just applying this here to the darkest spots, just to eliminate this little area here. Going with Trench underneath. Let's cancel this out. This is Victoria Beckham as well, and it just cancels out this redness. Gonna go back with this one again. It's just so easy to use, and it's very neutral. Brun Talpa. It's a single 236. Looks like this. And let's just use a nice fluffy brush. This is a 27 Rephr. Yeah, super fast. Pretty much replicating what I did in that vlog, just I think a little bit easier to see here. Go see along with Lash mascara, and then we'll go in with the blushes. Okay, I just went to put my hair back a little bit differently, and I realized my brows, I don't know what happened, but it got a little bit bigger than I wanted, kind of like eyeliner sometimes, just gets a little bit bigger than intended, so try to comb through a little bit. So let's go ahead, though. I found this La Mercier in Moonlight. I thought we'd put that on the lids just to give a little bit of light. So even though the Brun Talpa has a lovely subtle glow to it, this one's just a little bit brighter, but very much in the same family. So subtle, just catches the light. And then let's go on the inner corner too with this. Okay, I still have not powdered. I think we're gonna leave it there and see how this blush does on top. From the initial try on that I did the other day, it looked really nice. So let's go in directly again without powder. So these blushes are, gosh, they came out so late on the site versus other countries, and then also in the in-store boutiques. We are just gonna do a side-by-side. So we have here Rose Radiant, and we also have Beige Eclatant. And these are the two we wanna look at side-by-side. I think these were the most wearable shades, but then when I tried this on yesterday, I noticed how subtle it was. So that makes me think some of the other ones that I thought were really intense might not be so intense. So let's go ahead with this. I'm just gonna take a number 5 Rephr here. Beige Eclatant over here. One thing I noticed about this is the finish is really lovely. And that is where I see the difference between this and, say, a traditional powder blush, because it does have a skin flattering finish on it. So So let me just show you. I'm gonna add a little bit more than normal so we can see it, because it was this was very subtle yesterday when I applied it on camera. So I'm gonna lean in here in a moment and put a little bit more on than I usually would, just so we can see it. And then I would stipple this more than swirling it around, because of that creamy texture. It will have the ability to kind of break makeup apart that's already on the skin. So to me, stippling seemed to go better versus I just tried to swirl it on. It was, I could see impacting a little bit of that foundation. So I said that the finish, like the actual texture that appeared initially, of course it's nice and smooth now that I've been using it, that it reminded me of pantyhose. I feel like so does this finish. It's very subtle. You can see there's a bit of a glow. It's a bit perfecting. It's really pretty. And I would actually really love to try this without foundation. I think it might be really pretty just directly on the skin, or maybe on top of SPF. Okay, so that is Beige Eclatant. Now, this is the one I'm excited about, because actually I kind of wanted to try this initially and I'm not sure why I did not. Let's go in with this Rephr. It's a little bit different brush shape. This is an 18, but I couldn't find another 5 that was clean. So this is how this looks. Again, this is Rose Radiant. This one is a little bit easier to build up in intensity than this one here. So if you lose control of blush sometimes like I do, this might be a good choice, because it's a little bit harder to do that. This one is definitely more intense though. This could get away from me if I'm not paying attention, for sure. But yeah, it has a very like close to the skin appearance to it. Not sitting on the makeup. Not sitting on the skin, but like it's part of the skin. It's really pretty. I actually have a preference for this. The finish looks a little bit more delicate than this one. Wonder why. But it's a little bit more one with the skin, this particular shade. This one also has that one with the skin appearance. But I feel like it does look slightly a little bit more makeup-like than this one for some reason. I'm not sure why. Okay, so here's the side-by-side of these two very wearable shades. I think they are the lighter of the shades also that came out. So let me show you like this. So here is Beige Eclatant right here. And then we have Rose Radiant. Now, the only other thing I can notice here is that because there's a creamy element to these, they stick a little bit more, which means that if I went in and put in too much in a place, it might be a little bit harder to blend than a typical powder blush. So placement, I just had to be a little bit careful, because I could see I was going to run into an issue by applying too much in one spot on accident, and then blending it is a little bit trickier when I already have this makeup in place, because I don't want to move that around either. But I really like the results. Yeah, this is the side that I prefer. I'm a little surprised that this is the side I prefer. Finish-wise, shade-wise, it's really beautiful. Okay, so I hope that helps in case you were looking at both of them. I'd probably wear this more. I wish there was one that was more sheer like this, but also cooler. That's what I wish. But I'm gonna go ahead and try and mesh these together now. And I probably would wear them. Let's see, I feel like this might help over here with that skin-like finish, maybe improve it a little bit more. I'm taking the Rose Radiant over here. Just adding it kind of in the center, more of the center part of the cheek, and a little bit higher. Okay, now let's take this shade, and I wonder if it has to do with the brush too. Let's see if this has the same effect on this side. I'm taking this now Beige Eclatant. I'm gonna apply it more to like the exterior. Yeah, that's so interesting. The rose is definitely meshing a little bit more seamlessly. It's very subtle, but I notice it. So let me know if you have these and if you notice the same thing. But I like the subtleness of this, but more of the finish of this. So this is the case of me probably using them together. Probably layer them. I might start with this, the beige color first, and then go in with the rose after. Okay, then I think this shade in 940 Cocoon is a really nice pairing with, let's see, especially this shade right here. I think it's really pretty. Okay, final look here. Now, I do think that they performed differently, and I thought maybe it was because I had applied more foundation on this side than the other, but then when I went ahead and added Beige Eclatant onto this side, I got a very similar appearance in that it was a little bit more visible, and I'm wondering if it's because it is a little bit lighter, so you might see that contrast more with the foundation. But this one really worked beautifully with my medium skin tone. It meshed with the skin. It didn't look like makeup. I feel like maybe because there's a bit more pigmentation, and I'm wondering if it's because there's more intensity to this, that it really just worked very well with the foundation shade that I had on already. If I were going to pick without having tried them, I probably would have picked this shade because it is really neutral. It looked really easy to wear. And it is, but I wonder if it looks better without foundation underneath. So I'm gonna have to try this without foundation and just directly on the skin. I think that might be really beautiful. But for, especially with foundation, this was really lovely. The other differences I noticed between these two is that because this had more intensity, I had to be really careful about application. So stippling was key here, actually with both of them, because it is more creamy than powdery. It's a little bit harder to move this product around without moving other makeup around. So again, not having foundation underneath might change that whole application, but because there was foundation and concealer underneath, I had to be careful just to stipple. One of the other things I noticed also was the intensity of the blush. Because this one's not as intense, I didn't have the same issue of uneven application. It went on pretty evenly, but because this had more intensity, I had to be careful. So the more pressure I applied, the deeper it was in that particular spot. And then because it's a cream, again, with foundation underneath, a little bit harder to blend. However, I like the end result better than a powder blush because it does look so second skin-like. It looks like it's not makeup. It really does look so beautiful. It does a nice job of smoothing that whole area over as well. And you can see it just looks seamless. And it's this color specifically that I got that from versus this. Okay, it probably didn't break because it's cream. Hold on. And I'm right. Okay, so there I guess is another advantage, is that it will not break if you throw it on the floor like I did, because it's got that creamy texture to it. Yeah, if that was powder, it probably would have shattered because I have a finished cement floor here. So that's probably one of the hardest surfaces I could have dropped this on. So there's an advantage right there. But I think I was saying this one, what was I saying about this one now? I think I was saying that this one applied more evenly because it's lighter and I didn't have to be as careful. But then again, the end result was that it looked a little bit more visible than this shade right here. Between the two, I would pick this shade simply because I love the overall effect of it. I wish they had a color like this, maybe a little bit pinkier and just a little bit more intense, but I've got to try this without makeup also to see if that is going to make a difference. And then maybe even without concealer would be interesting. Just on like primer on bare skin would be really interesting to try this one. There's another shade I was asked about that was intriguing to me, and it's this one right here. Someone asked about, and it looks really beautiful. This one right here, it's very vibrant and it looks almost orangey, and it reminds me of Fira by Kevyn Aucoin. I don't know if anyone remembers that one. It's a powder blush and it looked like the sun had kissed your skin. So if you just took a little fan brush and then brushed it across the top here, it had a really beautiful effect, but also it was a traditional powder formula. So it was easy to blend, easy to just dust it on like that. Now this, I don't know if I'd be able to do that. It might be kind of intense in some places and not in others because of the cream to powder formula here. So it does look really beautiful on this model with some very rich skin tone though, really beautiful. But on me, I'm not quite sure. It might be a little bit too intense, but I would love to just dust it over and see. But that's how I would probably use that product. Rouge Franc, again, is the name of that. So let me know if you have that. How do you use that? I'd love to know. Do let me know if you have both of these, which one you prefer, if you had the same experience I did with how well this Rose Radiant meshed with the skin. It's really impressive the way it looks with the skin. It just makes the skin look that much prettier. And let me know if this was helpful because those were the two that really caught my attention first. And I'd love to know if you bought any more after you purchased these to see if I also need to buy them. So let me know. But that's it for today's video. So please take care of each other. Stay well if you enjoyed this video. If you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.